5 minutes.
Chairman Pappas, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Sablan.
Thank you. If I may, Mr. Chairman, respectfully, I ask the unanimous consent that I would speak out of turn and testify to my bill, HR 3730.
Mr. Sablan, I'm happy to yield my time to you. I'll recognize you for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate that. Chairman Pappas, Ranking Member, members of the subcommittee. And thank you very much for holding this hearing on marginalized veterans. This hearing gives me the opportunity to speak to HR 3730, my bill proposing to create a Veterans Administration Advisory Committee for marginalized veterans residing in the Northern Marianas, in the insular areas, and in the freely associated states. Veterans in these areas face barriers to VA services that no veteran should be required to tolerate. In the Northern Marianas, as in the freely associated states, there are no VA regional medical centers, no CBOC, and no vet center. Veterans in my district sometimes fly 3,700 miles to Hawaii or close to 6,000 miles to California to access VA services. Even receiving VA services in nearby Guam can be a major challenge and expense. I know of a veteran, a paraplegic, who couldn't fly the 30 miles from his home island of Rota to Guam because none of the air taxi aircraft could accommodate his battery-operated wheelchair. The veteran therefore had to personally charter and pay for a private boat. And since the boat's cabin was too small for his wheelchair, he had to travel the 30 miles in open Pacific Ocean water with his wheelchair lashed to the boat's deck. This is the kind of situation that departmental bureaucrats here in Washington can hardly imagine. And that is why my bill establishing a committee to instruct the Secretary of the difficulties insular area veterans face is so important. Each U.S. insular area and each of the three freely associated states would have a member representative on the advisory committee. Each would be able to describe and explain the barriers veterans face in receiving VA services. We all agree we have a duty to care for those who join the uniformed services. Yet, when a veteran must hire a boat and strap his wheelchair to the boat's deck to get to where he can obtain medical care or get to an appointment, we can probably agree we're failing in our duty. Establishing an advisory committee will not necessarily provide the every need of veterans who reside in these geographically remote areas of America, but these veterans will at least have a way to inform the lack of VA services and resources with the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. And when the Secretary is informed and learns about the barriers to the services this insular area veterans face, maybe, just maybe, change will occur and service will improve. I want to thank the Ilihi Legislatura in Guam, the Guam Legislature, for passing a resolution in support of my bill. I also want to thank the veterans of foreign wars for their support of HR 3730. And I want to give special thanks to Ms. Lindsay Church from the Minority Veterans of America, who is in fact with us this afternoon for their endorsement of my bill. And lastly, thank you. Thank you, Chairman Pappas and colleagues from both sides of the aisle who are already co-sponsors of HR 3730. And I invite those who have not yet added their names as co-sponsors to HR 3730 to please consider doing so today. Thank you, Chairman, and I thank you, sir, for yielding your time to me. I appreciate it. Please, I yield back.
Well, I appreciate your comments. Your advocacy is so important for veterans that you represent and others from outlying areas, and you have my absolute support for this legislation. I want to work with you to see that we can get it passed. With that, I'd like to